Hello, my name is Tiffany Fletcher. Tonight I'm here to share with you information on listening and speaking in early education. With the help of Reading Rocket, Edutopia, Child Mind Institute, the Nevada Department of Education, and the National Institute of Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, I have tons to share. Here are some questions that were posed to me, and I'm going to just share the answers as I go. First question, describe the typical development of listening and speaking skills in children from birth through preschool as indicated in early learning standards. So according to the Nevada Department of Education, students within the infancy to preschool range will do things such as responding to voices and sounds. This is early infancy. Understanding more than they can say. This will happen within the age ranges of 1 and 3. Our preschoolers will have a rapid expansion in their vocabulary skills, and they will also be able to come up with complex sentences such as the cat meowed. Retelling simple stories as well will also happen in our preschool years. The next question, describe the typical development of listening and speaking skills in children from kindergarten through 3rd grade as indicated in academic standards. So again, according to the Nevada Department of Education, our kiddos that are between the ages of kinder and 3rd grade should be able to follow 1 to 2-step directions, should be able to express their thoughts, feelings, and ideas clearly using complete sentences. As they get older, children will continue to develop their listening skills, understanding and following long directions. They'll express ideas more clearly and use complex sentences, even more complex than before. In that 2nd and 3rd grade range, children will listen to become more refined in their understanding. They'll be allowed to participate in discussions and actually be successful in that process. They'll engage in a collaborative discussion as well, so coming up with ideas and actually executing those ideas. They'll also be able to build ideas and clarify information that's coming at them. The next question, explain the effects of language delays on listening and speaking. So a language delay will impact the listening and speaking of a student in many ways. So in school, you're going to have the vocabulary, you'll have the story time, you'll have the speech productions and things and so on of that nature. A student who has a learning disability with regard to language delay will have a harder time expressing themselves. They'll have a harder time understanding instructions, and they may have a harder time processing the questions or the instruction that's given to them. Next question, describe the influence of listening and speaking development on development of reading and writing skills. Listening and speaking skills are super important, obviously. What's going to happen, though, is a student who is having an issue with speaking and listening, they may not be as successful with those grammar activities. They may have a hard time expressing themselves orally. They'll definitely have a hard time with writing down what they're thinking or what they're trying to say, because in most cases, they will not have a clear understanding of what it is to communicate clearly. It says provide strategies to foster listening and speaking skills in the classroom. So what things could we do? For sure, and what I promise to have all my teachers do is constantly talk. If you submerge the students in conversation and they have an opportunity to reciprocate that process, then that's a chance for them to practice. So that is the easiest, absolute easiest way, but also creating modeling opportunities. So maybe having a conversation with another child and including that child in the conversation. For example, I had milk with my breakfast this morning and it was really cold. And another student, was your milk cold as well? And a student can say, oh, my milk was warm, or whatever the case is. But those opportunities to have conversations about absolutely anything are all great opportunities for students to learn how to communicate and be better communicators. Next is providing strategies to foster listening and speaking skills in the classroom. So for these, we want to provide the opportunity for feedback as well, opportunities for the students to practice both skills of speaking as well as receiving information. So actually encouraging those conversations amongst the students, maybe in the block area or in the dramatic play area when they're actually playing around. Hey, have you ever had I don't know, peas and carrots mixed together. Another student might be like, no, I've never had that before. That's gross. Another student like, yes, I've had that before. But creating those opportunities for the kids to explore what they have experienced outside of the classroom will give them ample opportunity to foster that listening and speaking repetition. Next, it says describe the importance of collaboration and learning in the classroom for encouraging the development of listening speaking skills. So collaboration is huge. Obviously, you want to make sure that as much as possible you're bringing home into the classroom in a positive way, and also that you're collaborating with your fellow teachers and so on, because they may have an idea that you hadn't thought up that might be perfect for that student that's really struggling in your class. But bringing those real world opportunities into the classroom, like, hey, at home we sing before we go to bed, or whatever the case is, and having the student have the opportunity to share that song, that gives them a chance to first present, obviously to speak and to practice communication, and also just share something about themselves, which makes them more attached to the classroom, which is an opportunity for growth, obviously. So explain the possible effects of dyslexia. So there's tons of effects that can come out of dyslexia. Slowed down speech, multiple sensory learning. So this is saying that they're basically needing support in visual, auditory, or even in kinetic learning as well. So explicit phonics might be helpful. It may give the opportunity for the child to practice more using technology. So having them do the speak to type, or speak to where they speak in and it actually kicks out whatever it is they want to say onto the message center or what have you. So those are obviously good ways, but also positive reinforcement. That one stands out the most to me because students always thrive on positive reinforcements. With that said, tons to say, obviously. I hope that gives you a better understanding of the importance of having children practice speech and listening throughout the day, and providing that very, very, very saturated environment that has nothing but language happening. It's awesome, and it provides an opportunity for so many things and a foundation of communication for the future for these kiddos. Thank you. I hope that you got something out of that. I know it was tons to say. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.